video. Welcome. We're going to discuss math strategies and tools for middle and high school students. This will hopefully be a painless guide for parents and guardians. I apologize if the closed captioning is not perfect, but I wanted to make sure it was available to those that might need or want to take advantage. So let's get started. First of all, who am I? My name is Patrick Wagstaff. I am the middle and high school math resource teacher here at MIWA. I teach ALEKS Math, GED Math Prep, and I host online math labs throughout the week. And there's my email there if you need to get a hold of me for any reason. I'm always happy to assist and provide any help I can. All right, so our agenda. We're going to be looking at fostering positive attitudes towards math. This involves the questions, when am I going to use this? How to model math every day, and embracing productive struggle with your students. We're also going to look at utilizing school and community resources and available online resources that you can take advantage of. So let's get started. When am I going to use this? That scary question for everyone. I want to point out that and emphasize that your reaction to this and your overall attitude towards math is going to have a huge impact on your child's attitude towards math. It's fine if you hated math, if you always struggled with it. That's okay. But I'd implore you to be more positive about math. Talk about how you wish you had more support in math. You wish you understood it better, as opposed to I hated it, I didn't like it, it's awful, I never use it. Because that is a tough hurdle to get over for students when they hear you saying that why are they then going to engage with math? Why are they going to try? So I want you to stay positive about this, and hopefully I can help you answer this question, because you use math all the time, even if you don't think you do. In your career, you use math, in many careers. Healthcare professionals, because obviously your student may not enjoy school, but they're going to work in some field after school, and I guarantee you there's probably math involved in some way. Healthcare professionals use math all the time when they're charting data, recording statistics for their patients, when they're administering prescriptions or figuring out IV fluids and dosages. There's a lot of math involved there. Engineers and architects, when they're scaling things, when they're designing stuff, they're having to worry about a lot of engineering loads and figuring out formulas and calculations to see if things are actually feasible. Programmers. Programming is a huge industry right now. Everything involves computers, and there's so much math at the base of all of that that makes it a lot easier when you understand. Banking and financing, data, charts, price indexes. There's so much math involved there. In the accounting world, lots of math. In skilled trades, I built my own house. I used math constantly. I used trigonometry when I was doing the slope of the roof, but like figuring out the stairs, the rise and the run, I mean, that's slope right there. That's linear equation stuff. When I'm trying to figure out how much material I need, costs, I'm doing math constantly to try to minimize my costs and maximize my yield as far as the material that I'm buying. My brother installs helical piers in Alaska for foundation work for people's cabins and stuff. And he told me the other day that he uses the Pythagorean theorem to make sure he's properly squaring the foundation. So random, but he uses math when he's up there doing that. Culinary professionals. I used to work as a pastry chef. Used math constantly when I was scaling recipes, figuring out proportions and everything there. Finding out how many servings there are in something. Lots of math. In retail work, especially if you're doing inventory or you're managing, doing orders, trying to figure out costs, lots of math involved there. But also, career aside, you use math in your everyday life. We use math when we go shopping, when we pay bills, when we cook, when we play games, when we read the news. Now, I'm going to go more into this when I talk about modeling math every day, because there are a lot of opportunities for you to model math that you're doing just on a daily basis with your student, so they get exposed to those kinds of things. I do want to emphasize that it's sometimes less about the math concepts we're learning and more about the skill of learning. And what I mean is, if you think about other subjects, when you're reading Frankenstein in 11th grade English and analyzing the themes and everything else, that's not something you're using every day. It doesn't matter if you know about the themes from Mary Shelley's Frankenstein and that you can write an essay on it. But you're using those skills when you read other things, when you're analyzing stuff and text in your everyday life, whether it's in your work or for pleasure, you're using those skills. It's the same with math. Uh, it's a lot about critical thinking and problem solving, the ability to find those solutions and how to apply these things. So you may not use the law of sines in your everyday life, but the fact that you can analyze something in that way is applicable to other things. Developing these skills uh, serves us, and we'll use those in everyday life, even if we never use the law of sines again. So I talked about modeling math every day. And what I mean is there are opportunities every day for you to embrace math and do math with your student. That's outside of their schoolwork and their homework. So they can see the applicability. Uh, they can get used to working with numbers. So build a budget with your students. We all budget for things. It's you do that with your student. If they're getting allowance each week and they want to buy something, have them figure out how many weeks they have to save up or how many lawns they have to mow to make that money to be able to get something they want. Discuss spending when shopping and why you're making the decisions you're making and how math applies to that. If you're in the kitchen with your student and you're scaling recipes, you're making cookies for Christmas, I need to make enough cookies for this many people, so I'm doing this many batches, so I have this many cookies per person. That's a math problem. That's real world context right there. That's what we strive for in a class. When you're looking at news in the newspaper, or who reads a newspaper anymore, when you're looking online at news, explore the graphs and the data with your students. See how if they can tell what it's actually saying and what the different axes mean. We just went through an election cycle this last year. There was a lot of math involved there with polling and different regions coming in with their voting numbers. Talk to them about how that works. I talked about material costs when I built my house. You have your own DIY projects. Maybe you're putting in new carpet. Have your student calculate the square footage of the room so you know how much carpet you're going to need to buy. If you're building a shelf, how much wood are we going to need for this? Those are math problems. When you're playing games like Monopoly or any game really, if you're playing Yahtzee, you're rolling dice. Talk about the odds of getting a 6 on the next roll to complete your run. Does it make sense to do that? What is the likelihood that we get that number that we want? These are opportunities. Take them. So when I talk about productive struggle, I'm talking about working to find the answer to something. I don't expect you to be an expert on math. I don't expect you to know the answer to every question. You shouldn't know the answer to every question. We live to try to find new things out. It'd be boring if we knew everything. When your student doesn't know how to do something outside of math, what do you do for them? How do they find that solution? They search online, they try to find an expert. You help them explore that idea. It's the same with math. We don't know things. There are strategies we have to try to figure out the answers. And a lot of those answers will come from our supports. Now, we have a lot of school supports and there are community resources you can take advantage of as well. One thing I want to emphasize on this slide is that any math class your student is in has live lessons with a teacher and other students where they'll work through problems together. If they can't make it to that live lesson, life happens, we know that, everybody's got different schedules, that's fine. Those recordings are put up as well so the student can actually watch that recording after the lesson. Make sure that's their first step if they're having trouble. If they're not going to class, it's going to be difficult for them to understand what's going on. So make sure they're taking advantage of what's provided in their actual curriculum there. If they're still not understanding and you can't help them directly with it, have them schedule a meeting with their teacher. There is not a teacher at this school that will not be thrilled to meet with your student and help them understand something they didn't before. Take advantage of that, please. You're not supposed to be an expert. We don't expect you to. That's what we get paid for. So have them come to us. All right, so let's talk about some other supports that we have outside of just that class time. We have in-person support lab Monday through Friday at campus. It's 1 to 3 o'clock Monday through Thursday and 12:30 to 2:30 on Fridays, where teachers are present. There are people there for you to go to campus for a couple hours and get help directly. If you can't make it to campus, at the exact same time, there is a Zoom room open where teachers are there to help. These are our in-person and virtual support labs. Now, with math specifically, Mr. Sailing is on campus in person on Thursdays. And on Fridays, Miss Madoff is online and Mr. Brummett is on campus. So Thursday and Friday are great math days. If you're on campus. You got Mr. Sailing and Mr. Brummett right there to help, and Miss Madoff online on Fridays. Any teacher will be able to help you, but those are math-specific teachers that are there, so definitely take advantage of that. If you can't make it to those days, or you don't want to, we have another option, and that's me. Math Lab is open every day of the week, Monday through Friday, from 1 to 2 o'clock. I'm in my Zoom room waiting for math kids to show up and ask questions. I'm there to help. You can come for one problem. You can come and work on an assignment with me, whatever you need. I'm here to help. Also on Tuesday and Thursday, I'm available from 11 to noon, which is often right after your algebra class. So if you're going to class, still have trouble, and you want to work on that homework but have some support, come right to lab, and I'm there. Always happy to see you. No appointment is necessary for any of this. Another option I discovered is that Multnomah County Library offers daily live homework help online. Now, any student from MIWA can get a Multnomah County Library card. They can get it online, and that gives you access to your Library Connect account and live homework help. It's done through tutor.com. It's free through the library. It's from noon to midnight in English and Spanish every day, and then 3 to 9 p.m. in Vietnamese, which I thought was a great option. So that's something to take advantage of if you're needing help outside of school time, outside of those general support times. All right, so let's look at some online resources. Now, a lot of times you can just do a Google search on a particular math problem or type of problem idea and find an answer very quickly. But I'm going to give you some tools that I generally use or tell people about. Khan Academy, a wonderful nonprofit resource with lots of funding. Sal Khan started this to help his nephews get through math. There's all the way from elementary through calculus and linear algebra. There's a lot of great stuff it's not just math. There's a ton of subjects on there, but for math, it's fantastic. You can use this as a tool to practice problems, and there are also individual videos. So you can look at specific topics and just watch a 5-minute video to get help finishing an assignment. You can also work through an entire algebra or geometry class and earn badges and little things and keep advancing and watch videos, do practice problems. It's a great resource for you to supplement with. CK12 is another nonprofit resource. I like to think of it as an interactive textbooks. So you're learning the topics, you're practicing problems going through, there's instant feedback, there's a lot of interactive elements, which are really great. I think that's a wonderful thing to explore. YouTube. When I built my house, I learned everything from YouTube. It's the same with math. Now, if you got a problem, there's somebody on YouTube that has solved it for you or explains it in a way that's better for you. Maybe your teacher at MIWA doesn't explain it in a way that you understand. If that's the case, please reach out to us and we will try to find a way to help you out. But also, if you're not comfortable with that and you just want to go figure it out for yourself, there is somebody on YouTube that explains it in a way that you will understand. There are so many people out there. I've just put 10 up here who do fantastic jobs with different levels of math, but there are a bunch of others that you could discover that may explain it in a way that works better for you. Because ultimately, it's about what works for you. We want you to be successful. Here's an app for your phone that I thought was really cool. It's Photomath. You can actually, if you scan this QR code or go to that link, you can download this. You can actually take a picture of a math problem with your phone, and it will show you steps on how to solve that problem. It will even graph linear equations and solve for x. This is obviously not a solution for just solving any problem or taking into a test and being able to do it. But what I like this, especially as a parent or guardian wanting to help, and maybe you remember a little bit about how to solve these problems, but you're not sure, take out your phone, take a picture of it. It'll guide you step by step to make sure to reinforce what you're remembering. And it's like, oh yeah, that's how I'm supposed to do it. So then you can apply that to the other problems. So use this as a tool for learning, not as a solution finder necessarily. It's a good way to check to make sure you're on the right track. And in that vein, Symbolab and Wolfram Alpha are also computer algebra programs that you can go to, and you can put in very complicated problems and it will give you the solution. So it's a great way to check your answers and make sure you're on the right track and you're doing things correctly, or whether you need to go back and re-examine what you're doing. The paid versions provide a lot more functionality. You can do a lot more, and they show step by step how to solve. But I don't think you should have to pay for any of these things. So use the free version. You can see the answer, check to make sure you're on the right track. And then use the other resources to fix your errors if needed. Multiplication skills are at play in so many levels of math. It's sort of like a gateway there. Once you get those multiplication facts, it makes working other problems so much smoother because you're not focusing on that step right there. That's not holding you up. So multiplication practice and getting those multiplication facts, understanding how to do that mentally is a great tool to get through that. So I've provided some resources here where you can use dynamic arrays and visualize multiplication in different ways. There's practice tools at Khan Academy or Math is Fun. There are a lot of games for multiplication that you can do, which is great practice. It's a great skill to work on continuously and make sure you have that down. So I wanted to make sure to include those here. Some online tools for math that you can also use. GeoGebra.com provides scientific and graphing calculators, which are fantastic. I use those constantly. There's a geometry tool where you can build and manipulate shapes and angles. Desmos has exactly the same thing. I'm a big fan of Desmos and their scientific and graphing calculators. This is a limited list of their tools available. If you go to either of these sites, you'll find a lot of interactivity, a lot of stuff you can do to be able to develop more math skills. But I wanted to make sure these simple ones were here. I would definitely bookmark at least the scientific and graphing calculators because you will use those throughout your math career. So that was a lot, I know. So I'm going to boil it down to a few takeaways. A big thing is to build confidence in math by empowering your students to seek and explore answers. I don't want them to be afraid of math. Even if you didn't like math, try to stay positive with them. Model working with math every day. It's like we may not need calculus, but we're definitely using math skills each day. And also that it's okay not to know the answer. That's true with everything. If they come to you and you don't know, it's like, that's fine. But how do we find that answer? It's not that's not the time to give up and say, oh, I'm frustrated with math. It's like, oh, well, let's see what we can do together to figure out this solution. Let's take advantage of the tools and resources we have available. And biggest and most importantly of all is we're here to help. So ask for help. If you're struggling, don't wait till the end of the semester and everything's all going bonkers. Come to us early. Say, I need this extra support. Join me in Math Lab and we can work regularly to make sure you're successful. All right, so that's what I have as far as the resources right now. I'm going to be building this list and putting more out. But I would love to hear from you if there are specific issues you're having with math or the strategies you'd like to be able to help your student. What are their areas of greatest need? Is there something that you want to see? Are there videos modeling these tools or modeling specific math concepts that you'd like to see made available through Miwa? Because we would be happy to put those out and put that time towards it if that's something that would be beneficial for our students. So I want to thank you for watching this. I greatly appreciate you putting the time into trying to help your students and putting forth that effort. That's the biggest thing right there, modeling that we don't always know the answer, but we're looking at our resources because that's what you're doing right now. You're modeling that for them, which I think is fantastic. So please reach out to me if you need anything. There was my email in the slides. Anyone from the school can get a hold of me. Thank you so much.